Rebecca, I just thought I'd film you a quick video. So, as it turns out, it's for the better that I was able to meet up with you. What was it, yesterday? It's been kind of a whirlwind of one thing after another. Anyway, my car decided to give me just a high five to the face yesterday. I guess it was 3 engine coils on my car decided to dip out, trip out, and flip out on me. So I ended up having my car in the shop, and I have to go pick up a prescription at Walgreens. Fortunately, I was able to go to an urgent care after cumulative experience of getting experienced 9 different emergency rooms all over different San Diego parts. But you know, it's not without its teaching moments. You know, I didn't used to have any idea how flawed our healthcare system is. I've been fortunate enough to have private insurance for most of my life. So to find out that the smallest little components, the variations in treatment can be contingent upon if I wear a hoodie as opposed to a dress, or if I'm missing teeth as opposed to having a pretty smile. You know, in my view, these things shouldn't have anything to do with a patient's access to healthcare. I mean, I think that's part of the Hippocratic Oath, to reduce the suffering in people. But ironically, I don't work in healthcare, but I don't get paid to care about people, so I guess in my family's view that makes me less relevant. But just because it's an opinion for them doesn't mean it needs to be my fact or my fate on my end. Anyway, I just wanted to take a moment and just acknowledge the appreciation I have for the fact that you even replied. It's been a whirlwind. 13 months has been a long time, and to try to handle this stuff on my own at this point is no longer a viable option. I just left a voice filmer for my dad, basically telling him, look, like, you normally help me with my car maintenance, and I don't have all this money, and I have the nerve conduction studies on Friday, which I'm like so amped for. I've been dying to know what's going on with this hand. It's like I can't even splint it anymore. It just causes me so much pain. But hence urgent care last night. They prescribed me like Norco or something, I don't know, all of 4 months ago. It's been a while, but this stuff makes me sick as a dog. And contrary to the way I used to live, I'm not a huge proponent of opiate medications, like narcotic pain medications, because I had a back injury at one point when I was living in North County, and it took me forever to get off this stuff. So ice, heat, Epsom salt, just like, I don't know, I think Austria is on the right track. They have a 24-hour stress reduction facility where you can go and get a massage, get all these different things, because I think that's like way more important in our culture that doesn't realize, like, the pharmaceutical industry essentially makes more money than the illicit drug trade, and they also play a role in helping decide what they help. They have like a financial incentive in putting new diagnoses in the diagnostic and statistical manual for treating and diagnosing diseases in this country. So I hope that if anything happens to your Uncle Rich, that you guys take it with a grain of salt, because had I not done that, then I would still be stuck with what I had incurred in Poway, something called SI joint dysfunction. It's supposed to be a permanently disabling condition that was radically impacting my daily ability to just sit in my car to drive to work. You know, just being able to have a dialogue with people. It's like we're such an educated culture, but it can also become so competitive. I just don't think that we're doing ourselves any favors by not taking a moment of pause and just going, hey, this might be like a widely accepted majority rules type of thing. You know, I don't think that people consciously go out into the world and go, hey, like, let's hurt some people today. But the tendency to be creatures of habit, that maybe we won't always say something, like if we see something wrong happening because we're at fear of loss of our job or whatever, it can have some serious ramifications when it's someone working in the healthcare field or law, and the trickle-down effect if someone has unresolved damage. Like, this was never just about me. It's about, holy cow, it's a little scary because I grew up in a wealthy community, but shoot, if I've had this experience, like how can I possibly just forget it and go, well, now let me find a high-paying job and let's ditch this whole social welfare thing, because the two, as far as I'm concerned, they go hand in hand. I'm like, I wish I was dumb. I say it's good to have goals. I want goals to be lazy and think less and get a high-paying job and get a brain surgery, I think it's a lobotomy, so that I can just focus more on survival instead of finding myself get distracted looking into Japanese cage homes when I'm supposed to be finding a new splint. Oh well, just because it's not financially lucrative doesn't mean it's still something I can divorce my brain and conscience from. Because if it weren't for certain people that I met along the way over the course of many years that helped, you know, essentially helped me to heal a lot of damage that I didn't really realize I had, and these underlying messages that so many people still contend with, they either are perpetuating them or they're just accepting the status quo. Okay, if you did this drug or if you made this choice in your life, then you belong in this category and you don't ever get a chance to at redemption. Well, I've been out of that scene for quite some time, 12-15 years. So for me to accept maltreatment from my family is to go back to this old message that I used to entertain that says that, hey, if you ever did drugs or if you were a thief, then that makes you a bad person. For me to accept that would be like, hey, let me crucify myself, and hey, I'm gonna help with the nail. Could you hand me the hammer? It would be counter to my survival. So, you know, a big part of this is that if I die, I can't help people gain greater awareness over things that they buy into on some sort of level. We're fed all these ideas throughout the course of our life, and if it's something that holds us back from being happy, like, I think that it's up to us to become cognizant of it. Otherwise we risk being held captive in a brain that is capable of so much good, because we start to question ourselves, and over time I really believe that it can start to corrode a person's soul and really warp their identity from you know, a future that's full of boundless possibilities if we just learn to be kinder to ourselves and maybe reevaluate the things that in my view should be more important. You know, it's so weird, it's such a paradox to say that, hey, I'm from La Jolla, but yeah, I don't really understand like why someone would take a perfectly brand new house and tear one down and build one out of volcanic rock. Anyway, that was a lot of information. I was gonna say, being that I have a limited amount of time left at this hotel, I was able to procure funds for the next 2 nights or whatever. Bottom line is that, like, it's been getting really, really cold, and despite everything, I really don't want to develop that homeless look. You know, my car, I just took great pains in washing it with 2 hands that don't work yesterday. But hey, I got it done. I figure that if my hands don't work already, then might as well like put them to work, and oh, well, so they're gonna hurt. Well, cool. Now at least my car is clean. I'm really proud of that, actually. Yeah, I pat myself on back. If we don't do it, then who else will? But I had a point. I was trying to remember where I was gonna go. Oh, I was gonna say, if there's anything that if you guys wanted to help me with anything, it's the fact that, like, I have no idea how to insulate my car. If I don't have money for a hotel room, like, the bottom line is, like, I'll be sleeping in my car until whenever. I still haven't crossed that line, and I contacted an old coworker at one of the shelters I help run, only to not hear back, mind you. Someone I thought was like a good friend, and just ask him for information about if they had beds available, and ask him what the direct line is for the Alpha Project Bridge Shelter 3. But yeah, if you guys wanted to do so much as to donate like a mummy bag or some sort of sleeping thing, because it has gotten so cold, and I know that I'm probably anemic because I I had gastric bypass surgery many years ago, and so I was supposed to be taking like 6 pills because I have malabsorption issues related to calcium carbonate and ferrous fumarate, iron. Supposed to take a multivitamin, but over the years it's just cost so much money, and they're just a pain in the butt. But yeah, as much as I like seeing stars during the day, that part doesn't bother me so much, but it really can impact the fatigue, and I get really cold. So I don't know. I don't want to overpack my car full of so much stuff. It really adds to the stress of this whole thing, and I've been thinking about possibly trying to figure out how to get a storage unit. Stuff's a bitch, but I don't sit around feeling sorry for myself. If anything, I want to get to a place where, you know, I can have a semblance of normalcy, where it's a stable environment, where people can be emotionally consistent, not the mood swings and the, you know, I love my family, I'm still showing up for them, but I need to get away because the depression part is no joke. The effects of the additional stress that it has on the TMJ, the permanent jaw disorder, and then my memory goes to absolute shit when I go back to the house. And the stress will add to tension, and it can cause such debilitating pain in my ears that I was referred out from the current surgeon I have to a maxillofacial surgeon who was supposed to do skull injections now. But when I told my dad, I relayed the information from the new surgeon to my dad, he said, I'm sure that'll resolve itself in 1 or 2 years. So here's a man that my mom recently had like a respiratory infection. He talked to her about it briefly, simply to discuss the symptoms she was displaying or suffering from. Called in 5 prescriptions for her, and within 20 minutes time was at the pharmacy and went and picked her up. And so this wouldn't be such of a, pardon my French, mindfuck if it weren't for the fact that my parents have this ability to turn their empathy on and off for every single other member of my family and every other person on this earth, except for the person that has been there at the house time in and time out, helping them, and ironically trying to get my siblings to help contribute. But one day at a time, man. All right, well, yeah, I hope that we can be in touch, and just know it is still so incredibly awkward for me to have reached out. Yeah, hello, muscle tension. But I appreciate that, if nothing else, like, you just seem like a really kind and genuine person. And and random note, I don't know if Uncle Richard will care or not, but I was in line at 7-Eleven, not 7-Eleven, Pavilions in La Jolla the other night, and it was the weirdest thing. I saw a man standing behind me, and I was like, hey, he was wearing a Rusty shirt. I was kind of grumpy, I was starving, I was ready to like get the heck out of La Jolla and just get back to the motel or whatever, and got into chatting with him. It turns out it was Rusty Preisendorfer, and I'm sure Uncle Richard knows him, but I've never personally met him. And it just so happened that he used to be friends with my uncle, or Uncle Doty. He might as well have been an uncle. Howard Doty, just old family friends over by the La Jolla Shores. It's kind of like, hey, it was like meeting someone's like a family friend, but I'm a nerd, and he's like kind of famous. So I'm like, ah. I didn't tell him, like, I used to draw like logos when I was in 5th grade and like resell them to my classmates, and like they were all rusty things like snakes and stuff, but for like a dime. Yeah, I was a hustler, what can I say? No, I'll choose being a nerd over being a badass any day of the week. All right, Rebecca, appreciate your help, and hopefully we can be in touch, and tell Uncle Richard I said hi, and that's it for me. All right, bye.